recommended too.
Why did you put my chai up there?
In time.
To keep it safe.
of
You see, either that or sit on it.
We gotta start.
Dead, buried, and resurrected.
We gotta start. It's 8:31. 8:32.
Woo-hoo.
Roll
We're being recorded right now.
on.
Well, and it's like,
We're gonna have
Y'all
to
watch
get you a
the
little on-air thing.
Y'all watch the screen. What?
okay.
We're gonna have to get you a little on-air thing.
I guess so.
The red light.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay, we're doing Bet Canaan. I don't have my
Okay,
can't have my glasses.
uh-oh. You just decided to wing it.
Like a spectacle of myself right here.
All right.
A spectacle. Got that?
We got it.
Okay.
We did. This is our hat
Oh.
collection here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Calm down. You know, if you feed him,
That's right.
Like a cat, you feed him once, he won't quit coming.
That's right. Won't get any nicer, but he won't quit coming. Okay.
I ended up with a cat like that. He's a good cat.
Okay, since we're a little bit behind, let's rush on through the blessing, but we'll say it slow.
okay,
We're going to rush through, but we'll
go
say it.
to it.
Join me.
We'll have that to-
Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with thy commandments, and commanded us to engross ourselves in the words of the Torah. And before we say it in Hebrew, I just want to reiterate that it says Kadeshanu, which is sanctifies us, which means sets us apart in Hebrew. So sanctification and being set apart is likened to being holy.
Good thing.
You think?
Different.
Okay, in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzavanu le'asok b'divrei Torah. Did it make it?
Yes, it made it.
Did you notice how it all came down the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Even
Rather
these
than,
little things you have
rather
to
than
point those
from the
out.
side, it flows down.
No more sparkles.
No more sparkle. No, I didn't do sparkles. I kind of eased back on the sparkle thing. Okay, this is Bet Canaan. Do y'all like this Torah portion? Do you know what this Torah portion is about?
No.
It's got the Shema in it.
It's got the Shema. It's got
and
the
it's
Ten
got
Commandments.
Moses explains when God said no.
That's right. hmm Yeah, it's got Moses begging, gets to go up to Pisgah and see the Canaan. It's got Moses commands obedience. He commands obedience.
And he reminded of the Ten Commandments.
He gets the cities of refuge all set up for the people east of Jordan. Then he goes into his second part of his address. Part of that's the Ten Commandments. And the Ten Commandments is right in the middle. Did you know that? It's right in the middle. It's not the first part. It's not the last part. It's the middle part. What does that intimate? A chiastic. It's kind of a chiastic structure, yeah.
There you go again.
And then it finishes up with the Great Commandment, the caution against disobedience. The caution against disobedience. Anybody get that? Heed. All right. But this guy's.
I'm telling you.
Tell you what.
Contrary to popular belief, I actually like Paul.
Yeah, he's tolerable. He's tolerable. That's
Tolerable.
what he told me. He said, "You're tolerable." Yeah, on some certain
On
days.
good days.
I don't feel like hitting you when you're near me. So.
On good days. That's good.
Better than being
That's
shorter.
true.
Okay, so being that that we've said these things, what is it that we want, and that what God wants, and what God wants from us?
Obedience.
Well, He wants obedience, but
Love.
He wants a relationship with us.
He does. We want people that we like to like the things that we like, and dislike the things we dislike.
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to get Ty to like some of the stuff I like. He's resistant.
It's working though.
Well,
But in that respect, how do we have a relationship with God?
By liking the things he likes. And
By loving the things that He loves and hating the things He hates.
and we can't know that unless
Can't
we
know
know
that.
His Word.
Unless
Yep.
you know His Word. Okay. So now,
We're well
Contrary
trained.
to popular belief.
contrary to popular. Okay, this is an easy read. It's got very few big words in it or anything.
Wow.
That means Sharon don't get it.
That's right. We're not going to have Sharon read today.
No, no reading.
Okay, number 1, Deuteronomy 3:23 through 4.
7.
4?
Oh, it says 7 up here.
Yeah, 7-11.
4. No, that's the whole Torah portion.
Oh,
Oh,
That's the whole portion. And I pleaded with Yahweh at that time, saying, O Yahweh Elohim, you have only begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do such works and mighty acts as yours? Please let me go over and see the good land beyond the Jordan, that good hill country of Lebanon. But the Lord was angry with me because of you and would not listen to me. And the Lord said to me, Enough from you. Do not speak to me of this matter again. Go up to the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes westward and northward and southward and eastward and look at it with your eyes. For you shall not go over this Jordan, but charge Joshua and encourage and strengthen him. For he shall go over at the head of his people, of this people. And he shall put them in possession of the land that you shall see. So we remained in the valley opposite Beit Peor. And now, Israel, listen to the statutes and the rules that I am teaching you, and do them, that you may live and go in and take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You shall not add to the word that I command you, nor take away from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and that I command you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did at Beit Peor, for the Lord your God destroyed from among you all the men who followed the Baal of Peor. But you who held fast to the Lord your God are all alive today. Did y'all notice in that the first sentence there, 4? And now, O Israel, listen. You know what that word is in Hebrew? Shema. It's Shema, so it's saying now listen and do the statutes, the rules. Okay. So, in a nutshell, God appeals to Israel to recognize his uniqueness, to respond in loyal love on the basis of that uniqueness, and to serve him faithfully and exclusively because of it. It is the interest of those who know him well to cleave to him only and exclude all other deities from their affections. So what is other deities?
Zeus.
Little G
thank
gods.
God.
Hasatan.
Do what?
Other little G gods.
Other deities are anything that you put as more important before God.
For
Anything.
Elohim.
Anything is a deity. If you say, I'm going to do this because it's more important,
Then you've made that.
then you've made that choice.
Phone,
Trip
TV.
to Sam's on Saturday.
Do what?
Trip to Sam's on Saturday.
Working
Depends
on
on where
Shabbat.
Sam lives. Okay.
Working on Shabbat.
Okay, what does Viet Kanan mean?
No idea.
I
Pleaded?
And I pleaded, which comes from the verb kanan, which means to beseech or implore, and the root is ken. And what does ken mean in Hebrew?
Yes.
Grace. It means I sought your favor in terms of appealing to God's grace. In traditional Jewish liturgy, takanun are prayers begging for God's grace and mercy.
I thought kin also meant yes.
Do what?
Doesn't kin also mean yes? Kin and law? Yes and no? Never mind.
It does.
Don't ask me those difficult questions when I'm in the middle of this.
Sorry.
What was the substance of Moses' plea?
We're here to learn, not know.
Moses said that?
No.
I didn't read that.
I'm just backing him up.
Just backing him up, yeah.
He's not tolerable, he's shorterable.
Yeah. He's got my back as he slaps me down.
You know it all, you're in the wrong place.
Okay, what was the substance of his plea?
To hear him.
I want to go in to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all see it in there?
Mhm.
Moses said, the Lord God had only just begun to show him his greatness and his mighty
I
hand.
have more to learn.
I have more to learn. And therefore he asked to enter the land that God's promise fulfilled, despite the earlier sin at Meribah. So, why did God refuse Moses?
Because he struck the rock instead of
Disobeyed.
speaking to it.
He disobeyed and disgraced him in front of the people.
Well, yeah, but here he says he seemed to blame the people for his trouble and didn't take responsibility himself.
And that too.
He let his temper get the best of him.
The words come out.
Okay, according to Jewish tradition, how many times did Moses appeal to God? I've asked y'all this before.
I have no idea.
10?
3?
10?
No. 10, that's not even the ballpark.
Tree.
Y'all don't remember? Remember this next year, because I'm going to ask you next year. Okay. 515.
Wow.
So why 515?
I have no idea.
Because that's very annoying.
Because that's the gematria of the word tefillah, which is prayer.
Mm.
Is 515. So he asked him 515 times in prayer.
Wow.
That's just Jewish tradition.
Well, and
I
there's
don't-
some teaching that part of that was other people. He had asked other people to pray. So it wasn't like
Yeah.
Moses,
Could be.
515 times. Because he'd have got nothing else done, right?
I thought you meant how many times did he ask?
I think you
The
could fit
promise land.
515 prayers in 40 years.
Yeah, I think you can get her done.
I can name that tune in.
Name that tune, yeah. Okay, so, yes. Thank you, Larry. Even though Moses' plea was denied, what concession did God make?
I'll let you
That he
look
could
at
see
it.
Look at it.
That's right. He said, get up on that hill, take a good look. Then I'm going to kill you. Then you're going to die.
Oh, ow.
No,
I want you to get up here and look at what you could have.
Yeah.
You paid
Any
attention.
closer to me, so I can strike him with a knife.
yeah.
Sounds kind of like the that one game show where they say, "Do you want door number 1, door number 2, door number 3?" Let's see what you could have had first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What role was given to Joshua ben Nun?
Take them into the land.
Me to do that.
He what?
To be the leader.
Yeah, he was appointed the one who would lead them into the land of inheritance. Y'all ever think of that as land of inheritance?
Mhm.
We call it the promised land,
Yeah.
but it's actually the land of inheritance. Why is the land of inheritance better than the promised land?
Because we've
Because we're
already got
sons.
Right, we're sons. It intimates that we are highly
Favored and
favored.
blessed.
Highly
Okay,
favored,
what is the
favored.
valley opposite Beit Peor? What is the valley opposite Beit Peor?
Eshcol?
Okay, it's near Pisgah where Balaam attempted to curse Israel.
Yeah.
And it's also where the Moabites worshipped Baal at Baal Peor. So, what's the difference between a statute and a rule? A kok and a mishpat.
I've been trying to figure that out my entire life.
Have you? A statute is something that you do no matter what,
Okay.
whether you understand it or not. It's like when Dad tells you to go mow the yard, and you say, "Why?" And he says, I'm not asking you for your opinion. I'm asking you to get out there and get her done."
Because I told you so.
Yeah, I told you so. That's what I mean. That's what
That's what I mean.
that's what it means.
Can't do that though.
Because I said so.
And a rule is something that you can understand. You know, like don't put your hand on the pot that's on the stove boiling, lest you want to get some burns on your hand. That's a rule.
Pain.
And Mike says,
Get
Mike,
blisters.
in the kitchen, Mike has these little quips, like he'll take a hot pan and set it over there and says, "Don't touch that with your tongue because it's going to hurt."
Don't stick this fork in that socket over there.
That's right.
Don't stick your tongue to a nightstick either.
No.
No.
Okay, so there in 4:1, we had the word Shema, and so what does it mean? What does Shema mean?
Heed.
Listen.
Here,
Listen
Means-
and do.
It means hear in the sense of obeying. Hear in the sense of obeying. And it's where does it appear most famously?
Shema
In the Shema.
Israel.
6.
Okay. Why were the people to obey Moses' teaching?
Because
Why
he
does-
was God's mouthpiece.
Say it again.
Why? It says, why were they to obey Moses' teaching? Why?
Because it's the breathed word of God.
Well, he says in there, he says, so that they might live and take possession of the land, and then later on he says, and not get kicked out. Okay. So, what was the incident at Baal Peor?
The Midianite women.
The Midianite women, the adultery, the all the stuff that they did. What is Baal Peor? What is it? I told y'all this before, but y'all don't know what that.
Lord of Peor.
Yeah, Lord of Peor, and Peor is openings. It refers to a god associated with excrement and exposure.
Ew.
Lord of the flies.
okay.
Like the book.
Now, can you think of anything more gross to set up as somewhere for you to go to work?
You.
Well,
Yeah.
they worship there for sure, huh?
Yeah. Okay, number two. Move right along. See, I have
think
taught.
kicking dirt over that and make it holy ground.
Yeah, kick some dirt over. the
Kick
back
some
road.
dirt over. I'm gonna kick some dirt over that. Okay.
That whole mountain.
See, I have taught you statutes and rules as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do them in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. Keep them and do them, for what will be your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of peoples who, when they hear all these statutes, will say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that has God so near to it as the Lord our God is to us, whenever we call upon him? And what great nation is there that has statutes and rules so righteous as all this law that I set before you today? Only take care and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things that your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your children's children, how on the day that you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, the Lord said to me, gather the people to me, that I may let them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me all the days that they may live on the earth, and that they may teach their children so. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, while the mountain burned with fire to the heart of heaven, wrapped in darkness, clouds, and gloom. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the word, but saw no form. There was only a voice, and he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, that is, the 10 Commandments. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And that literally says the 10 words, not the 10 Commandments. And the Lord commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and rules, that you might do them in the land that you are going to possess, over to possess. Yeah, I should have got Sharon.
I was going to say, you made a mistake starting that one,
That's
didn't you?
right. Therefore, watch yourselves very carefully, since you saw no form on the day that the Lord spoke to you at Horeb, out of the midst of the fire. Beware lest you act corruptly by making a carved image for yourself in the form of any figure or likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water, under the water. And beware lest you raise your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars and all the host of heaven, you be drawn away and bow down to them and serve them, things that the Lord your God has allotted to all the other peoples under the whole heaven. But the Lord has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be a people of his own inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, the Lord was angry with me because of you, and he swore that I should not cross the Jordan, and that I should not enter the land, the good land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance. For I must die in this land, I must not go over the Jordan. But you shall go over and take possession of that good land. Take care lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make a carved image in the form of anything that the Lord your God has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire and a jealous God. When your father's children and children's children and have grown old in the land, if you act corruptly by making a carved image in the form of anything, and by doing what is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, so as to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that you will soon utterly perish from the land that you are going over to the Jordan to possess. You will not live long in it, but it will utterly destroyed. It will be utterly destroyed. I'll get this down. Y'all just watch. And the Lord will scatter you among the peoples, and you will be left a few in number among the nations where the Lord will drive you. And there you will serve gods of wood and stone, the work of human hands, that neither see, nor hear, nor eat, or smell. But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search after him with all your heart and with all your soul. And when you are in tribulation, and all these things come upon you in the latter days, you will return to the Lord your God and obey his voice. The Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not leave you or destroy you, or forget the covenant with your fathers that he swore to them. For ask now in the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth, and ask from one end of heaven to the other, whether such a great thing as this has ever happened, or was ever heard of. Did any people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and still live? Or has any God ever attempted to go and take a nation for himself from the midst of another nation, by trials, by signs, by wonders, and by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, by great deeds of terror, all of which the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? To you it was shown that you might know that the Lord is God. There is no other besides him. Out of heaven he let you hear his voice, that he might discipline you. And on earth he let you see his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, and chose their offspring after them, and brought you out of Egypt with his own presence by his great power, driving out before you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in, to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Know therefore today, and lay it on to your heart, that the Lord is God in heaven above, and on the earth beneath. There is no other. Therefore you shall keep his statutes and commandments, which I command you today, that it may go well with you, with your children after you, that you may prolong your days in the land that the Lord your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities in the east beyond the Jordan, that the manslayer might flee there along, who kills his neighbor unintentionally, without being at enmity with him in time past. He may flee to one of these cities and save his life. Bezer in the wilderness on the tableland for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in the Bashan for the Manassites. This is the law that Moses set before the people of Israel. These are the testimonies, the statutes, and the rules which Moses spoke to the people of Israel when they came out of Egypt, beyond the Jordan in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, the king of the Ammonites, who lived at Heshbon, whom Moses and the people of Israel defeated when they came out of Egypt. And they took possession of the land, and the land of Og, and the king of Bashan, the 2 kings of the Amorites, who lived to the east beyond the Jordan, from Aror, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, as far as Mount Seron, that is, Hermon, together with all the Arabah on the east side of the Jordan, as far as the sea of the Arabah, under the slopes of Pisgah.
That English stuff's pretty tough.
That is, I tell you, there's a lot of tongue twisters in there.
They,
Like this and thus and those.
yep.
Okay, what reason was given to keep the law of Moses?
So that it would go well with them and they could stand in land long.
Observance of these would lead to wisdom, chokmah, and understanding, binah, in the sight of all the peoples which in turn will glorify God of Israel and provide a testimony in wisdom.
Yes.
That's what it really meant.
He was right. He was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was just right there.
Yeah.
He asked that question before, and that was the first answer.
That was the first answer. That's right. What
The
does
second question.
what does Moses mean when he says, "Keep yourselves diligently"?
Examine yourself. Check out and make sure you're doing this stuff.
You're gonna have to work at it, because
Don't come
if they get
natural.
lazy, they'll fall off.
Well, I've got a question.
Don't take the easy wrong over the hard right.
What happens when you're doing something? You do something every day, and what does your body do?
Becomes a
Muscle
habit.
memory, get used
You,
to it.
you get used to it. You got muscle memory. You know, if you don't read God's word and you don't apply it in your life, you don't have any brain memory either. If you don't do it,
Or
right?
heart memory.
It's funny. It's funny how the body, mind, soul gets in conjunction.
And you're
with
like a
everything.
forgetful man that looks in the mirror and forgets who he is.
Yes, looks in the mirror and forgets who he is. Forgets what he looks like. Some of us want to forget what we look like, but that's another story.
That's true.
What especially does Moses want people to remember?
Statutes and rules.
Okay, he wanted them to remember, as parents, to make sure their children remembered the Sinai experience. Remember, that's part of the
Pesach.
Pesach. You know, it says when your children ask, you know, part of the Passover Seder is saying, you know, the children ask, how come we celebrate this?
Why is
He
this
said,
not different from all of this?
yeah.
Why is this not different than any other?
Right. So, the deal is,
Forgot his helmet.
do what?
Never mind.
Okay. The thing about it is the first time I went to a Passover Seder, you know, I wondered why are they saying all this stuff? And why are they doing all this stuff? And it wasn't until we started reading this, and I went back and it said, hey, you know, it says all this stuff right here. It's funny. It's funny how, I mean, I don't
Not
mean
funny,
funny,
ha.
ha ha ha.
It's
I
a
mean,
mess.
it's
Unusual.
unusually amazing.
Mhm.
That the Israelite people, or we refer to as the Jewish people, put all these things together and set up ways of remembering them. You know, and so do you think it's wise for us to? This is a question I'm going to ask later, and you don't have to answer it now. Do you think it's wise for us to know Jewish culture?
Yes.
Yes, I think it is.
I don't want you to. I just said I don't want no answer.
It's a rhetorical question.
And
And
how
I
much
would
of
tur-
it points forward to the side.
And there you see, he's jumping ahead again.
And I
Since
give
he
you a
is-
rhetorical answer.
Since he's Jewish, we need to know more about him.
Shadow of things to come.
See, I give you a rhetorical answer.
Rhetorical.
Yes.
What did the voice out of the midst of the fire say to the people?
I am the Lord your God.
The 10 utterances.
Oh.
The 10 words. And how did he deliver them to the people?
On the stone
Tablets of
tablets.
stone.
Tablets of stone. And people use that all the time. Is that written in stone? Evidently, if it's written in stone, you got to do it, right?
Yep.
It's written in stone.
So we ignore it.
Yeah.
I just say they use ignorance.
Mhm.
Or they pretend that it never happened.
There you go. Call it a fairy tale.
That's not really what
What
So,
it meant.
what
Really
did
my heart.
what did God take? Why did God take the people out of Egypt? Why did He do it?
To make them a people unto himself.
I'll never cry.
How did He put it though? How did He put
Crying
it?
out, hear them.
To become for Him a people of His own inheritance.
Oh yeah.
Inheritance. See, because that's why it's important to call it the land of inheritance. See, it's not. It is a promised land, but it's an inheritance.
Because Yeshua has already passed away, we've already.
Israel is his firstborn.
Israel is firstborn, but But remember this. God said that's the land where I'm going to put my name. That's the land where I'm going to have my presence. And he says that's the land where I'm going to come back to. You know, it seems to me that all Christendom, if you want to put it that way, thinks that God is going to come back to where they are.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to come back to Amarillo. He's going to be in Dallas. Okay, we may know that he came back, but he ain't coming back here. He's coming back there.
Yep.
And all nations will be drawn to him there.
Yes.
Okay? And did any of y'all ever understand that? I mean, I used to think about it. Yeah, we're going to look up. He's going to be coming here. Can't happen that way. We may look up and we may know, but he's coming there.
You'll see him in the sky, it says.
You know, I don't know how all that's going to work. All I know is it's going to work. Yeah, what does Peter say about the inheritance? That you are a chosen race. It's 1 Peter 2, 9 through 10. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of the darkness of his marvelous light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. So, how do you receive mercy?
Through faith.
Your belief, who you put your trust in, what you believe. You know, a lot of people that are not Christians, the atheists, say that we have a blind, a blind faith. What does a blind faith mean?
Just taking somebody's word for it.
Yeah, we don't have any substance to it. But in reality, the scriptures, the Bible, and everything that's in it is more historically proven than anything that has ever existed. There's more copies of the Old and New Testament, old copies going back than anything that exists for any other historical figure.
And the rocks are
And
crying out.
besides, there's trees of their kind, cats of their kind, dogs of their kind, chickens of their kind,
Yeah,
and so on and so forth.
and so on and so forth.
And the rocks are crying out too.
That's true.
They are. Every time they dig around.
They find something.
Okay,
Another way.
so what are we to know in our hearts?
That if God said it, it must be true.
No, there's one little sentence in there that really came out. That the Lord is God in heaven above and on earth beneath, and there is no other, and therefore we must obey his commandments. There is no other. And what is the love of God?
Obeying his commandments.
Yeah, that's the proof of our love for God, is obeying his commandments. There's a couple of
And
really,
they are not burdensome.
they're not burdensome, that's true. Okay, let's move right along with it. Okay, number three. I think number 3 is pretty short, isn't it? Yeah.
I can read if you can flag me down at
Okay,
49.
you need, just read through,
Wow, that is short. 41 to 49?
no, 5:1 through,
21?
5:18. 5:1 through 5:8. Oh, I messed that up, that's wrong.
Which one's right, 21 or 18?
Through 18.
18.
5:1 through 18.
And Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and the rules that I speak in your hearing today, and you shall learn them and be careful to do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in war. Not with our fathers did the Lord make this covenant, but with us, who are all of us here alive today. The Lord spoke to you face to face at the mountain out of the midst of the fire, while I stood between the Lord and you at that time to declare to you the word of the Lord. For you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up to the mountain. He said, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself a carved image or likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the Lord your name. You shall not take the name of your Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath day and keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you, your son, or your daughter, or your male servant, or your female servant, or your ox, or your donkey, or any of the livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates, that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there as a mighty hand and outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God commanded you, that your days may be long, and that it may go well with you in the land your God has given you. You shall not murder, and you shall not commit adultery.
Go ahead and read the.
And you shall not steal, and you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, and you shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, or his male servant, or his female servant, his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's.
Thank you. That's it.
Stop there.
Stop there. Hold it. Stop. Okay, so we got the 10 Commandments, right? So, is the Sinai covenant the same as the Abrahamic covenant?
Yes.
No.
No.
The Sinai covenant was made not with our fathers, but with us, namely the remnant of the Exodus generation. So now I get to do this because I like this. I do this every year, so I'm doing it again. We got the 10 Commandments, right?
Mm-hmm. Or the 10 words.
I'm the Lord your God. You'll have no other gods, no idols, no name in vain. Keep the Shabbat. Honor your parents. Don't murder. No adultery. No stealing. No false witness, right?
Mm-hmm.
No coveting.
So we have them. Did they come up?
Yeah.
Like that? So we have, I'm the Lord your God. So it says, don't do away with God. He's the only God there is. There is no other. Don't murder.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do away with God. Don't murder your fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
So don't make any idols. Don't put anything in the place of God. Just like in your relationship, be faithful in your relationships. No name in vain. What does Proverbs say? Do not steal and profane my name.
Mm.
So why is stealing and profaning God's name tied together?
Stealing his glory.
Well, but we
Or
don't.
not relying on
Bad
his
witness.
provision.
We don't rely on his provision. We don't believe that he says, I'll take care of you. Okay. But anyway, breaking any of God's commandments, if we profess God as our God, Elohim, if we break his commandments, we profane his name. Keep the Shabbat, no false witness. So when we say that he didn't set the Shabbat apart, then we're a false witness. Why are we a false witness when we do that? Hmm?
Calling
Calling God a liar.
Calling God a
because he said,
liar.
"I said it."
Said he didn't set it apart. Pretty tough words.
It is his holy day.
It is his holy day. Honor your parents and no coveting. Now how are those two tied together? Y'all know?
Your parents provide what you need.
Well, you were placed in that family and you're,
Well, it
never
says,
said
you know,
you
it
should
says,
somebody else.
it says, don't covet your neighbor's house or his wife or his son or his daughter or his maidservant or his,
Position in life.
yeah, or his donkey or his sheep or what, there he has it.
Both.
So when you're saying, man, I wish I had his wife. Oh man, I wished I had his farm. Oh, I wish I, what are you saying?
You don't like your own family position.
I want to be him.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else.
Don't be him, be yourself. Be who God made you to be.
Exactly.
Whatever circumstances.
So when you honor your parents, you're honoring who you are.
Mm.
Because if it wasn't for your parents, no matter what they've done in their lives, has nothing to do with you. They are the ones that, if they weren't there, you would not be here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And, you know, we have to remember that. You know, your parents are the ones that produced you.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's just like Zoe's parents. I mean, they're struggling and they've had their problems. But if it weren't for them, I would not have a wife.
Right.
I would not have a life. A life or a wife. Okay? So we have to remember who we are.
Mm-hmm.
That God made us. He put those two people here to produce you and me.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, don't be envious of anybody else or what they have. Because I made you and I will give you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
I got praise report on that note. Verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. I had that on a note card on my wall for a couple, 3 or 4 years after we got married and moved over to Fairfield House. And we were in debt up to our eyebrows, having a heck of a time. Could not make house payments. But it says, I brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, out of the house of bondage, it said on my note. And some anonymous person came and paid off our house payment for us.
The whole house? Or
Paid
just
off the house.
The whole house.
The whole
It's like what?
The whole.
How much?
So it's 2 people.
Two people, well, it was, how much, one person paid 9,000, the other person paid like 11,000. It's just a little house, but still, he brought us out of the house of bondage, I was trusting him. So that's a God thing. Anyway, just give God glory.
amen.
Amen.
He knew we were struggling. We just had a little girl, little bitty 6-year-old girl.
Yeah. That's actually murder in the Hebrew.
What?
That actually means murder in the Hebrew.
Yes, the word means murder.
Okay.
You know, there's killing
Yeah.
and there's murder. What's the difference between murder and killing?
Intent.
Intent. That's right. God makes a big deal about intent. Yeah, but he did say there's not any consequence if you don't go to the city of refuge and stay there.
Mm.
Then the
other
blood
family
avenger
kill
can
you.
come and kill you if you
Mm.
leave that city.
Yeah.
And if you leave and go
And he
back,
won't-
he can
he
still
won't.
come and kill you.
Mm.
And he won't be guilty.
He won't be guilty.
Heart is desperately
Because
wicked.
you didn't listen to him. So.
That's
It's
right.
like that one guy.
Are you about to move on, or?
I'm just about to move on.
Because I was in the spot here about remembering you were a slave in Egypt on the Sabbath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that I associate with that is Yeshua is a prophet like unto Moses.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're resting, we also remember that we were slaves to sin.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Just like that guy that during David's life, David told him not to leave the city, and he left. And
Yeah, can we just camp out here and study this all the time? Good luck.
Okay. This says number 4, but it's really number 5 because I messed my deal up here. See, I'll make an excuse here. In the ESV, they don't have these portions marked off, but they do in the complete Jewish Bible. But in the complete Jewish Bible, it has alternate ones. You can say standard and alternate. And I was going to do the alternate instead of the standard, and then I got them confused and I marked them differently.
Do push-ups.
That's
Huh?
what happened.
Give me 10.
Do push-ups.
Do push-ups?
run a mile.
Getting slapped around. Okay.
That's Air Force, maybe too.
These words that the Lord spoke to all your assembly at the mount, out of the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness, with a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And as soon as you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, Behold, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. This day we have seen God speak with man, and man still live. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have, and has still lived? Go near and hear all that the Lord our God will say, and speak to us all that the Lord our God will speak to you, and we will hear and do it. And the Lord heard your words when you spoke to me. And the Lord said to me, I have heard the words of this people which they have spoken to you. They are right in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart as this always, to fear me and keep all my commandments, that it might go well with them and with their descendants forever. Go and say to them, return to your tents, but you stand here by me, and I will tell you the whole commandment and the statutes and the rules that you are to teach them, that they may do them in the land that I am giving them to possess. And you be careful, therefore, to do as the Lord your God has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. You shall walk in all the ways that the Lord your God has commanded you, that you may live, and that it may be well with you, and that you may live long in the land that you shall possess. Now, this is the commandment, the statute, and the rules that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you, that you may do them in the land which you are going over to possess it, that you may fear the Lord your God, you and your son and your son's son, by keeping all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you all the days of your life, and that your days may be long. Hear therefore, O Israel, and be careful to do them, that it may go well with you, and that you may multiply greatly in the land God of your fathers has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. So, did God directly speak other words to the people at Sinai?
No.
Not that time.
No. The Lord spoke to all your assembly with a loud voice, and he added no more. He added no more. In other words, I wonder how long it took for him to say the 10 words. I wonder if it seemed longer or shorter to the people that were standing there listening.
Probably seems longer because they were so scared.
You reckon?
Mm-hmm.
When the people heard the voice, what did they do?
They got
Trembled
scared.
in fear.
Struck with fear, and they wanted Moses to be their mediator, right?
Yep.
So my question is, they're scared they're going to die, and so they sent Moses. They weren't worried much about him dying, were they?
Really weren't.
Well, he's the one that brought it on anyway.
You know, see, this is the part of the scripture right here that gets me that I don't think people have read. Because here we have all these people, and they hear the voice of God, the fire, the thunder, all the stuff, the glory, and they are almost dumbfounded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're shaking in their boots. And they go to Moses and say, man, this is too much. We can't handle it. You're going to have to stand in for us.
You've already
I mean,
dealt with
you know,
it.
it's the Yeshua picture.
Yeah.
That glory, that stuff is too much for us. We need you to stand between us and him. So Moses, in that respect, is the Yeshua figure. He's brought the law. He's going to teach him how to keep it. He came to teach. Moses was there to teach. Okay.
And they see
Now,
hear all that and then don't do it.
right. But the people that say, you know,
They're
when the
stiff-necked, and then there's you people.
when the Lord returns and when all this happens, the first thing I'm going to ask him is this. I'm saying, you got to be crazy. You ain't going to ask him anything.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going to fall on your face and be glad that you're here.
You don't know what you were known.
Yeah.
With that attitude, there's probably going to be one talking. It ain't going to be you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you and Ivan for teaching us this kind of stuff.
Be still and he is God.
Okay. So what other revelations did Moses receive at Sinai?
The tent of meeting.
Well, all the
other.
commandments, statutes, and rules, and an explanation of the meaning of the 10 Commandments as well as an additional laws. In other words, God said, "Come and stand by me, and I'm going to explain this stuff to you."
Everything to you.
So God didn't just say a bunch of things. He said these are the 10 rules, and Jesus, he came back and said, if you don't love God, all the other commandments hang on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he kind of tied it together. But if you go back and you read in Jewish tradition, they already said all this stuff. They already said all the commandments hang on the Shema. Did y'all know that?
Mm-hmm.
That they actually taught that? It wasn't a new revelation when Jesus said it. He was just saying it because when the guy asked him, he said, "What is the greatest commandment?" He said, "It's this, and the other one is like it, that you'll love your neighbor as yourself." Why did he say it? Because it was true, and they knew it was true. It wasn't, we look at that and say, well, he was given this great revelation. But their sages had said it all along. It's not like they didn't know.
To us, it can be a great revelation because they were not taught that.
I know.
Well, the word says that we're not given more than we can bear, so the fact that they went through that once and it scared the whatever out of them, doesn't mean that they couldn't also go through it again and maybe learn more from the second time, that they were too chicken and they wanted Moses to stand in the middle with them. That's why we've got things like Catholic priests talking to God for us and telling us that we need to pay indulgences. Anyway,
Too chicken, huh?
too chicken.
I didn't know
I'm not
we
saying
had.
I wouldn't be a chicken too, given the situation.
Why are you?
But we lived through it, didn't we? I mean,
Yeah.
they lived through it. They didn't
I know.
die. They
I
said, "Oh,
just-
we're gonna die." No, they
I just have one question. Why do you use the word chicken?
because they run away from everything.
They were too scared.
They were yeller.
They were frightened.
Afraid. Okay, Sharon, would you read the 5 and the 6, and that'll catch us up.
But they're really,
Yeah, they're really one.
okay,
5 and the 6.
because it's little. Oh, yeah, because this is fun.
Pardon me.
Hear, O Israel, Yahweh your Elohim, the Lord is one. You shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And when Yahweh your Elohim brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you, with great and good cities that you did not build, and houses full of all good things that you did not fill, and cisterns that you did not dig, and vineyards and olive trees that you did not plant. And when you eat and are full, then take care lest you forget Yahweh, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. It is all Yahweh your Elohim you shall fear. Him you shall serve, and by his name you shall swear. You shall not go after other gods, the gods of the peoples who are around you. For Yahweh your God in your midst is a jealous Elohim, lest the anger of Yahweh your Elohim be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not put Yahweh your Elohim to the test as you tested him at Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. And you shall do what is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may go well with you, and that you may go in and take possession of the good land that Yahweh swore to give to your fathers, by thrusting out all your enemies from before you, as Yahweh has promised. When your son asks you in time to come, what is the meaning of the testimonies and the statutes and the rules that Yahweh our Elohim has commanded you, then you shall say to your son, We were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, and Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And Yahweh showed signs and wonders great and grievous against Egypt and against Pharaoh and all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from there that he might bring us in and give us the land that he swore to give to your fathers. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our Elohim, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as we are this day. And it will be righteousness for us, for we are careful to do all his commandments before Yahweh our God, our Elohim, as he has commanded us.
Thank you. Okay, so what's the central commandment of all the Torah?
Love the Lord your God.
To fear God, to fear Yahweh, to keep his laws all the days of your life, to hear and do the commandments, and most especially to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and muchness.
Muchness.
Muchness. You know, that's what the word is in Hebrew. It's
Did
muchness.
not know that.
It's your muchness. What does Deuteronomy 11:18 through 20 say? It's way on down the trail from here. It says, "You shall therefore lay up these words of mine in your heart and in your soul, and you shall bind them as a sign to your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall teach them to your children, talking of them when you are sitting in your house, and when you are walking by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall write them on the doorpost of your house, on your gates, that your days and the days of your children may be multiplied in the land that the Lord swore to your fathers to give them, as long as the heavens are above the earth."
Sounds like a Christ issue.
Sounds like a long time, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the two witnesses.
That's right. You have to have two witnesses. The heavens and the earth.
Law can't pass or change until those two witnesses are gone.
So what do the Jewish people refer to the Shema as? Y'all know what they refer to it as? The 3-in-1 prayer.
Mm-hmm.
The 3-in-1. What is a 3-in-1 prayer?
Father, Son,
Trinity.
Holy Spirit.
Well, there's three parts to it, you know. There's love the Lord, keep his commandments, and teach them to your children. It's 3-in-1. You know. The Vehafta, the Vehaya, and the Vehamor.
Past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
See, if we don't do it now, if we don't do it diligently, and we don't give it to our children, then it doesn't go into the future. And what's happened to our land?
They haven't given
It
it
hasn't
to
gone
children.
into the future. So what does the idea of akdut? Y'all know what akdut means?
Mm-mm.
Yes, y'all do. It's
No, I don't.
akad, akdut. Lord our God is one,
Okay, one.
so akdut is oneness.
Okay.
What does that oneness mean to you? Oneness.
We should all be of the same mind, same heart.
Is that? Well,
Just
what
like
it
God.
means is God said that he's only one,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He's one. Okay, he's of one mind. I mean, he may send us his Spirit. He may send us his Son. He may give us his commandments, but it's all him that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one of them is going to disagree with you.
Right. So when it says become one with him, it says hear what I say and do it. Therefore you shall love the Lord your God. Bekol levakaka, with all your heart. Bekol levakaka. And uvekol nafsheka. What is uvekol nafsheka? And with
Not
your
so-
soul. Now, soul, nafsheka, can mean
Fish.
your flesh, but it can also mean your spirit, because the two are tied together.
The heart.
So with all your whole, and with all veko meodeka, with all your muchness, meodeka. Okay, that you are part of his unity and love. So what is unity and love? John 17:11. And I am no longer in the world, but they are in the world, and I am coming to you, Holy Father. Keep them in your name, which you have given me, that they may be one as we are one. And then in 17:22 and 23, the glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one even as we are one. In them and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them as you have loved me. So, by keeping God's commandments, God knows who we are, and we know who He is. And if we don't keep His commandments, He does not know who we are, and we don't know who He is. And that's why later in Matthew He says, I never knew you, you workers of lawlessness. Because if you don't know Him and keep His commandments, He doesn't know you. Because it says right here, Jesus says, I've given you my commandments so that you would know me. And if you keep my commandments, I will know you. But if you don't, I'm not going to know you because you don't know me.
Same thing He told the 5 virgins.
That's right.
Foolish virgins.
That's right. So what I'm saying is you cannot separate love, obedience, and salvation. You cannot separate those. Okay, so it's a one package. You can say, I love God, but I don't have to keep His commandments, and that's an oxymoron. It says, I love God, and because I love God, I want to keep His commandments. I may not do it perfectly, and I may mess up, but when I find out that I've done it incorrectly, I will confess my sin, and He will forgive my sin, and I will be restored.
I will put my spirit within you and cause you
That's right.
to keep my statutes
So-
and be careful to obey my.
But I got to finish up here. We're already 4 minutes past. I tell you. How important is education of children to the Lord?
Train them up in the way they should go. If they
It's a
depart from
future,
it.
your future.
It's our future. We just don't know how important it is to teach God's Word to children. I wish somebody would have taken me down and beaten me with this years ago, because I just didn't know.
I bet Zoe would have done that had you asked her to.
You know, you can't get a woman started on that because they get used to it and then they just won't quit.
Then you get the Jezebel thing going on.
Oh yeah, that would be tricky, wouldn't it?
One quick story, even though we're in a hurry. We have this customer. He's Nathaniel Abner, Nadi Abner. Has a company in Wichita Falls, but he lives in Israel. And when he this company was our customer before Nadi purchased them. He came over here, and a couple of the guys went down to meet him. I didn't go, but they came back and they said, "Yeah," I said, "He came in and said on all the doors he's got these funny symbols and stuff around." Because he put the commandments throughout the building.
Oh wow.
But I was so funny, I thought,
Mezuzah?
oh, yeah, mezuzah type stuff. He had mezuzahs, but he also put the commandments on the doorposts.
Didn't put it on the doorpost.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought it was funny because they were like clueless.
Yeah, they were.
Or sad, because they were like clueless.
Yeah, what is a mezuzah? Do y'all know what a mezuzah is?
No.
The little box that they put the Shema in on.
It's a kosher scroll inscribed for Deuteronomy 6, 4 through 9, that is rolled up and inserted into a decorative case, and it's on our door at home, going out, and it's on our door in the back.
You can see him holding it in Ben-Hur if you watch the movie.
Does it mean to remember, probably to remember the commandments and the
Right.
Shema, so
Uh-huh.
Meth, Zoo, and then Zah.
When he comes into the front door, he grabs it like every time in Ben-Hur.
He touched it, that's right.
I don't know.
So when Yeshua was asked what the greatest commandment, he quotes the Vehafta portion of the Shema and the duty to love others. What's the relationship between loving God and obeying His commandments and loving others? What's
Keeping faith.
You can't
It's
do
all
one without the
woven
other.
together.
Yeah.
It's just 3 cords of a strand.
Yeah, the 3 cords of a strand is not easily broken.
Mm.
But the thing about it is, if we don't think loving God is obeying His commandments, then how can we love others as ourselves?
Right?
If you can't love God and keep His commandments, how can you love others? If you can't love others, how can you love God? What did Jesus say about loving others? He
Love
said,
them as you would yourself.
no, He said, if you can't love someone that you see, how can you
you
love
love
me
God?
that you cannot see? Because love is an action.
Yes.
It's a decision. A lot of people think it's emotion, and it can be emotional. But when you see someone in need and you go help them, is that because you love them
Yes.
emotionally?
No.
No. It's because you love them because they're made in the image of God, and it's your duty by God's command to do it.
It's because you chose.
And people don't understand that it's when it's a
Part of one
commandment, it's a duty. You know, when you're in the army and the superior officer gives you a command,
Yeah, you carry it out.
you carry it out. I mean, there's no debate. You know, some people say in the military it's a hard organization because orders come down, but feedback doesn't come up. because when you're on the battlefield and they say, go take out the cannon that's shooting these big shells at you, and you say, can we let's get a committee together.
Vote on this.
No,
I hate to use it,
It's not gonna happen.
but the Romans did not conquer by having meetings. They conquered by killing those who disagreed with them.
that's right.
So the Muslims.
Yeah.
Well, but that's God. But if you look at God's law, it's the same thing. God didn't conquer the promised land by saying go in and meet with those folks and find out, what you can do to dispossess them.
Yeah.
He said, no, go in and drive them out. And if they try to stay, kill them.
Or to integrate.
Or to integrate. That's right.
He didn't.
Okay,
He didn't say
Or diversity.
let's do number 7 real quick. Zoe, would you read number 7 really fast?
When the Lord your God brings you into this land that you are entering to take possession of it, and clears away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations more numerous and mightier than you. And when the Lord your God gives them over to you and you defeat them, then you must devote them to complete destruction. You must make no covenant with them or show no mercy to them. You shall not intermarry with them, giving your daughters to their sons or taking their daughters for your sons, for they would turn away your sons from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of the Lord would be kindled against you, and he would destroy you quickly. But thus shall you deal with them. You shall break down their altars and dash in pieces their pillars, and chop down their Asherim and burn their carved images with fire. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for his treasured possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. It was not because you were more in number than any other people that the Lord set his love on you and chose you, for you were the fewest of all peoples. But it is because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath that he swore to your fathers, that the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant and steadfast steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays to their face those who hate him by destroying them. He will not be slack with one who hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore be careful to do the commandment and the statutes and the rules that I command you today.
That's that right at the end. He will not be slack with one who hates him. He will repay him to his face.
You know, Solomon used people from all those tribes to help build the temple. He hired foreigners to oversee it.
No, he used all the natives to oversee all the forced labor, who were the foreigners in the land. Yeah.
Guys who were supposed to not be there.
Okay, really quick here. What's the salient part of this last piece right here?
That last part.
Segula, a treasured people. God's called the ones that want to cling to him to be his treasured possession. I had lots of stuff I was going to say about this, but since we're out of time, I just have to say a little bit about it. In Galatians, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. In other words, if we have the mind and the Spirit of God, of graciousness and peace and forgiveness and goodness and gentleness, then there is no law that we can break, because we're keeping God's law if we have these attributes. Okay. In Jeremiah, for this is the covenant that I'll make with them in the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law within them, and I'll write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. So, if we have the attributes and we have God's law in our heart, then we love God and we love our neighbor. And that's what all this is about, because God wants a treasured people. He doesn't want common people. But how do common people become treasured people?
Keeping his commandments.
They trust in him and they keep his commandments. But without the trust, in other words, some people say, well, I was doing his commandments and then something happened and he wasn't faithful, so I quit believing in him. Well, that's the deal is they never trusted.
It did not come as a child and depend on us.
That's right. Okay, so here we've got Calvin.
Alvin?
Not Alvin, but the Calvin. I've concluded that nothing bad I do is my fault. Oh, well, how about that? Right. Being young and impressionable, I'm the helpless victim of countless bad influences. An unwholesome culture panders to my underdeveloped values and pushes me to malfeasance. I take no responsibility for my behavior. I'm an innocent pawn. It's society's fault. Then you need to build more character. Get the shovel and shovel the walk. Get out there, get some more.
Do it.
These discussions never go where they're supposed to. Okay. That's our relationship with God. Don't be arguing with him about keeping his commandments. Get your shovel and get to work.
Right?
Don't pray for patience.
Okay, we got to.
No.
Next week is Ekev, on the heel of, because, and then we have our blessing. Join me. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth, Yeshua our Messiah, and set everlasting life in our midst. Blessed art thou, O Lord, giver of the Torah. And in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet Yeshua Meshikenu b'kayi olam neta betukenu Baruch atah Adonai noten ha-Torah. Great peace have those who love your law. Nothing can make them stumble.
Great darkness.
Oh, sorry for being ticked off with my job.
Oh, no.
Hey, you need to be thankful that you got a job.
Hey, we're
No,
still
he
on
did
camera,
not
guys.
take it to him.
I know, but that's
Well, I'm
just like
thankful for it, but that doesn't keep me from getting ticked off at it.